Hey, what's going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday. Welcome into Fantasy Hockey Picks and Bets presented by Prize Picks. I'm your host, Chris Meaney. Thanks, as always, for taking the time to hang out here on the Mayo Media Network. If you're just new to this show, please rate, review, subscribe. We are picking up a couple FTN subs over the past couple weeks, and I know it probably has a lot to do with this show. So thankful for Pat Mayo for giving me the opportunity to do this show with you guys as well. So appreciate you guys hanging out. If you could smash that like button, rate, review, subscribe. If you have a comment there, a season-long comment, it is fantasy hockey playoff time. You have a DFS question, a picks question, absolutely anything. We'll circle back before puck drop and make sure it is taken care of. Only 4 games on the ice this evening. Going to bring in Matty Best. You hear him all the time in this show, but him and I are going to run through the 4 games. His Preds are on the schedule, and my Canadians are looking for a W. So we'll break down those 2 teams and get some shot props for you and hopefully some winners as well. But it is time for the Prize Picks play of the day. Follow the link in the description for a 100% first deposit match. It is right there in the YouTube section of this show in the details. So let's get after it. PrizePicks.com. If you're just new, again, you can mix and match across all the sports that you love, and everything is going on right now in the sports world. But only 4 games, but they still have a lot of different options to choose from. And later on in the day, they'll have some shot props and some save props as well. So for me, it's Mark Stone. I don't want to overthink this. On Monday, we talked about Mark Stone, and his fantasy prop was set at 3 up against the Sharks. It is 3 again today in the very same matchup. He had 2 goals, 5 shots, and 2 blocks versus the Sharks on Monday. That's 9.5 fantasy points using Prize Picks scoring system: 3 for a goal, 2 for assist, half a point for a shot, half a point for a block. Stone has 4 blocks over his last 3 games. He does it all. This guy is unbelievable. He's still, I think, in my opinion, one of the most underrated players in the league, and a lot of people still talk about him as a very strong two-way player. He enters on a 5-game multi-point streak, 5 goals and 10 points, 4 power play points over that span. He's got 10 shots in his last 3 games. I mentioned the 4 blocks. He's got points in 7 of his last 9 games. And also what I talked about on Monday is his line mates are starting to heat up. Max Pacioretty's got 4 goals, 11 points in his past 7 games. He's got 9 points over a 5-game point streak as well. So Stone and Pacioretty enter on 5-game point streaks, excuse me, in the best possible matchups against the Sharks. And the next guy here, I was back and forth between Kevin Fiala and Dalla Bill Kirill Kaprizov. I am going to go with Kaprizov. He's 3.5 compared to 3.4 for Fiala. For Kaprizov, he scored a power play goal on 4 shots Monday against Arizona. He's got goals in back-to-back games, 7 shots over that span, points in 3 of his past 4. Minnesota, they've really taken advantage of Arizona this season. They've won 6 of 7 against them. They've won 5 straight, outscoring them 21-5. And looking at Kaprizov and what he's done against Arizona this season, 4 goals, 9 points in 7 games, and 30 shots. He's not a big volume shooter. Lately, the 7 shots in the past 2 games, but 4-1, 4-8, 8, 2, and 3. He had a back-to-back stretch where he had 16 shots in 2 games against Arizona. Yeah, give me the over on Kaprizov. Check out prizepicks.com for the latest. Let's bring in Matty Best. Matt, what's going on there, man?
Hey, buddy. This is going to be a different kind of thing, trying to switch this show live and talk at the same time and put the graphics up. But I'm excited to talk some hockey with you. It's always a good time. And, man, you said it earlier, the Preds and Blackhawks off the air. What are we going to do with that Nashville Predators team?
Oh, man. Rolling. They're absolutely rolling right now. Yeah, it's you're gonna have your hands full there. You are more than capable. I know you're gonna crush it. So thanks for hanging out with me for the next little bit here to break down these 4 games. Yeah, there's all the matchups that we're gonna talk about, Matt. We talked about on Monday, and a lot of them have just been one-sided, right? Chicago. We'll get to that in a second. Chicago, they've lost all 6 to Nashville. Mentioned Minnesota and Arizona. Minnesota has won 5 straight and 6 of 7. San Jose and Vegas on the schedule again tonight. Vegas has won all 6. And then Montreal and Edmonton. Montreal's won 4 of 6. Edmonton coming off the win on Monday, but all 6 have gone under the number. So I don't know how different I'm going to get with these trends, but let's start with the Preds and the Blackhawks plus 103 at home, 24 and 22 against the spread, 21, 20, and 5. The Blackhawks on the season, Nashville minus 120. So road favorites here, 25 and 22 against the spread, and overall 25, 21, and 1. The total here is 5.5. And I was talking, we were chatting before we came on here that five of the six, that last game was the first one to go over the number. I have a lot of confidence in what I'm seeing in UC Saros. I mean, this guy has been unreal. We've been talking about him for, a long time. It feels like he's been one of the best, if not the best goalie over the last 2 months of the season. I don't know who's going to start for Chicago. I think it's a problem. Kevin Lankinen hasn't been all that great lately. I wouldn't be surprised if they go to Subban. It's hard for me not to pick Nashville here in this spot, Matt.
Yeah, I think here you kind of have to pick Nashville in the spot, like we were talking about. They're 6-0 against Chicago all season long, and Nashville hasn't given up more than 2 goals in one game to the Blackhawks. So even though they did go over the number in the last game, I really like the under here. Chicago has this severe problem when playing Nashville, and it's called not being able to match up itis. In terms of Nashville will come out flying and will hit everybody in sight, and Chicago just can't match the physical game. Whereas when Nashville tries to do this against a Carolina or a Florida, those teams can adjust on the fly and beat their ass, for lack of a better term. Nobody on the Preds is a high volume shooter if we want to talk shot props. Without Forsberg in the lineup, I'm not in love with it. I also, for the under, I love the under because Nashville's power play has been a complete and utter disaster.
For years now, I feel like.
Oh yeah, it's been like that for a long time now. But I mean, especially during this rough patch right now, last 7 games, no power play goals, 0 for 19. And the problem with this team before was when Forsberg was in the lineup and Tolvanen was in the lineup, you knew Tolvanen was going to go to his Ovechkin spot, and you knew Forsberg was going to draw traffic on the other side of the ice, and then you had Roman Josi at the top end. Well, without Tolvanen and without Forsberg, you're relying on Matt Duchene, Victor Arvidsson, Rocco Grimaldi, Kelly Yarncroke is seeing time out there as well. And these are all guys that, for a lack of a better term, shouldn't be on the power play whatsoever. So the under is probably my favorite play here. And like you said about the Chicago goaltending, I truly don't think it matters who starts in net for this team. I just think that Nashville has him here. I don't want to say puck line because this Nashville team is so Jekyll and Hyde in terms of if Saros isn't on his A game or if he doesn't even start tonight and they let Pex play. The team could absolutely blow up. We've seen it early in the season, early and often as well.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you just said there. I do like the under as well. Didn't get the Patrick Kane shot prop. I mean, the shot attempts are through the roof. It's unbelievable that he had 3. I think he had 8 shot attempts, 6 at 5-5. Just missing that at a couple times. DeBrincat is someone that I would consider. I know we've talked about him a little bit. You can get him using the free prop shop over at FTN. You can get him at -135. I'm seeing the best price for 3 shots. He had the 3 shots against Nashville on Monday. He's got back-to-back games of 3 shots. He's been over 2.5 now in 6 of his past 8 games. So there's at least a bit of consistency there. He's having a great season. He's got 23 goals in the year. He's got goals in back-to-back games. He's got 4 goals now over his last 7 games as well. So shooting the puck a bit, getting some top power play time, of course. I mean, that's the difference between the two teams. I think special teams, you don't want to be giving too many power plays to Chicago with what they have to offer. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to just back this Blackhawks team right now. And I think I undersold Dallas a little bit. I'm looking up today at the standings, and they're 1 point back of Nashville for 4th.
I've been getting
Central.
A lot of heat on this Nashville Predators podcast. I do Locked On Predators because I look at this team like I'm not a Predators fan by any stretch of the imagination. I just have a lot of Nashville ties. A lot of my buddies are from Nashville, and I love the city. So they're not a big fan of me going out and just saying I don't think the Predators will make the playoffs. I still think the Stars take that final spot. Jason Robertson's rolling. That whole team. Heinz, when he's playing and actually in the lineup, a phenomenal player in itself. And I think Dallas's blue line has been just sold this year and underappreciated.
Yeah, I mean, this is a team that went to the Stanley Cup Finals. Obviously, last year they've had to deal with some injuries. Radulov is not going to come back. Hintz was out of the lineup, but when he plays, he's like on a 90-point pace or something silly. What he's doing when he plays is unreal. But Robertson is super impressive. This guy is crazy. He hit his shot prop again last night. I was looking at his anytime goal. It was only plus 140. it's like almost a given that he's going to score. How about the Tanner Jeannot call by you, by the way, on Monday when we chatted
Oh,
him?
thank you.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I picked him up in my Fantrax league to get a couple hits. He only had 3 hits, but he scored a goal, which is, I mean, icing on the cake because it's not
It's
really what I expected from him. But he's got 2 goals in his last 4. I mean, he hardly plays, but it
I
was a
think
great
Jeannot
call.
has cemented himself on this team as a fourth liner going forward, and I wouldn't say middle six. I'd say a third liner, fourth liner for the Preds. Jeannot in Chicago was lighting it up too. Had this big long goal streak, and I think it was like an 8-game goal streak, 7 or 8 games, and it finally got the attention of David Poile and friends, and he got to get put up on that fourth line. Richardson is coming back for the Preds at some point. Same with Philip Forsberg, same with Tolvanen. But I do think Jeannot has earned himself a spot in the lineup. I think the players that come out of the lineup, Nick Cousins and Yakov Trenin, will be the 2 that come out. Jeannot's a fun player. He's a kind of guy that could be everyone's fan favorite. He's the kind of guy that you want on your team until he makes too much money for his role. But he's the kind of guy that, I mean, a Barry Trotz in New York. I mean, you look at their fourth line with Clutterbuck, Zikas, and Martin. He'd be the kind of guy that fits into that mold perfectly and can provide a bit of scoring upside. Not a lot. I mean, in an 82-game season, you're looking at 9, 10 goals if you're lucky, which is perfect production from your fourth line guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Back to Jason Robertson for a second. I was doing the fantasy playoff guide over at ftnfantasy.com, and I was just trying to think of one player to put as the cover for from a shout out to Three Putts George there. He's does some graphics for us. It's phenomenal. It's like I put Jason Robertson, and we like chuckled about Jason Robertson. He's like, I thought you put somebody like, like a superstar on there, but he was a guy who's hardly owned. I just did some quick math because he has been unreal, and we've hit a couple first time goals with him. I think 3 in a row over at FTN, and anytime goals and shot props we've been all over. So his last 29 games, Matt, he's got 29 points.
That's
He's
unbelievable.
got 12 goals and 29 points. In March, he went 5 goals and 16 points in 17 games, and here in April, he's got 7 goals in 12 games and 13 points. He's a plus 17. He's averaging 18 minutes per game. Compared to just 11 games to start the season. He still had 6 points in those 11 games, but he was only playing 11 minutes a night and he had 2 goals. But yeah, what he is doing is extremely impressive as we segue over to Kaprizov, because I think Robertson is in the Calder conversation. He has
I,
been slightly better than him over the past 5 weeks.
I think he's second in the Calder conversation right now. I still think Kirill the Thrill is number 1, just because, yeah, points, obviously, and I don't think Minnesota has the success without him. Then again, you can say the same thing about Robertson and Dallas. Without Robertson's emergence, they don't really have a lot of scoring going on this year because our guy Radulov has been hurt, and they've had Heinz in and out of the lineup. So I do think Kaprizov right now has the slight edge, but not by much. Just like it's 2 points between the two of them right now. But I still think Kirill the Thrill has the edge. But if Dallas makes the playoffs, I think Robertson could overtake him.
Yeah, I'm looking for some Calder to win Rookie of the Year. We missed out. We really missed out. As much as we talk about Robertson on this show, I feel like, same thing too in fantasy. I only have a couple shares. I feel like I should have way more shares of this guy. He's plus 200 to win Rookie of the Year, so there's really no value in that at all. Unfortunately, we missed the boat. But yeah, he has been on a wicked run. I'm just looking at on the fly here. Prop shot FTM bets is unbelievable. You just get those odds everywhere. What is Kaprizov? I mean, he's minus 175. He's like so, but he's closing the gap. I really think he is. We'll see how these last few weeks. And you're right. If Dallas can find a way to get in, and it is because Robertson is on a point per game pace over the last 45 games of the season, would be something. All right, Minnesota and Arizona in here next. The Coyotes plus 123 at home, 21 and 25 against the spread, 20, 21 and 5 overall. This is a total of 5.5. Meaney minus 141, 24 and 20. I believe they were minus 148 when we did the show on Monday. And I think my exact words were, I'm just going to take them on, better team at home, have had their way with Arizona. I think they're a better team than the Coyotes. I think they got stronger defense. They're stronger in goal. I'm going to take them again on the road here. They've won 6 of 7 against Arizona. They've outscored them in 5 straight wins that they've had, 21-5. It's really been no contest, like no competition at all. That's why I'm afraid of the under. When I said on Monday, I'm a little afraid of the under because we could get those couple goals from Minnesota. And heck, if Arizona gets the 3, then it's definitely going over the number. What do you think?
This one, I don't want to touch the over-under. It's gone to the over 4 out of 7 times, which to me is not anything I really want to gamble money on. So it's basically a coin flip. And like you said, Minnesota 6-1 against them this year. I think the one thing that I'm looking at is Minnesota's power play. So I'm in on them on DFS for DFS purposes. 7 out of 15 for their last 15 chances, 47% success rate. And our guy Kirill, the Thrill, 7 games against Arizona, has only missed this 2.5 shot prop twice. And out of those games, too, he had 2 8-shot games. You're the king of the shot prop shot. What is his best price right now, if there's anything that's out? Because I think,
100.
yeah, I think that's where you have to go. Plus 100 for Kaprizov is kind of ridiculous, to be honest with you, especially against Arizona, where their defense isn't that great defensively. Because I like guys like Chikrin, 10 points over his last 10 games. I'm fine with that. I'll bet on him to get a point, sure. I don't like a shot prop, to be completely honest, but I do like his point prop there. But Kaprizov, that's my favorite play from this game, is just the straight up shot prop.
Yeah, absolutely. I was shocked when I was looking into him, and just because I knew that Minnesota had their way with Arizona all year, and Kaprizov, and this is why he's plus 100, because he typically doesn't shoot all that much. When I watch him play, he's a bit of a pass first guy. I'd like to see him shoot more, but he goes through these moments. I think you and I were talking about him on this show where there was a 2-week stretch where we were really hammering him. I think it was right around the same time we were in on Zuccarello, and we were hammering both of those guys. And then Kaprizov just cooled off a little bit, but you had the numbers. I mean, 30 shots in 7 games. That's crazy. The back-to-back with 8 shots. Yeah, you can get him here at DraftKings. Plus 100. You can get him at William Hill plus 100. I am totally in on that. I'm just trying to find some player props here, some points. I've been picking on Arizona quite a bit. We'll see where Dvorak is. Dvorak's not bad, minus 143, 0 points. Kessel 139. I don't really like to get involved there. I just don't see Arizona's offense just exploding in this spot. I really don't see it. So I know we've been talking about some 0-point stuff. I'm having some fun with that. I would go as high as that. I think minus 143 is okay. 143, I'm going to write it down here. Dvorak, 0 points. Another guy is just a pass first guy. If he falls into a point, like, it is what it is, whatever. Minnesota for me for sure. Okay, next game. San Jose and Vegas. Golden Knights heavy favorites here, minus 250, 21-24 against the spread. The total is 6. The Sharks plus 210, 26-19 against the spread, 18, 22, and 5 on the season. Right now, taking a look at the standings, Colorado's been off for a couple days, but Vegas enters with wins in 7 straight games. The Sharks have lost 6 straight games. Vegas has won all 6 games in this matchup. But Matt, 5 of the 6 have been decided by 1 goal. And it was a shootout victory for Vegas on Monday. I'll probably just have Vegas on the puck line. Knowing those numbers, I probably just, like, with 4 games, I may just include them in in a couple parlays or something on a puck line. Like, I'm not getting behind San Jose.
I'm afraid of the puck line on this one, just because they've only covered it twice out of the whole season series. And I just, like, I know deep down, and we all know, that Vegas is the better team between the two for sure. Like, there's no questions about that. But San Jose plays them so damn close for some reason.
They get up for those games, yeah.
I can't figure it out. Like, I understood the last game because it's Marleau's day, and that one, to me, we should have clued in and just figured out, yeah, they're obviously going to play up. But I can't go to the puck line here. I think I'll go money line on a lot of things, but I can't do it. I also like the team total for Vegas, by the way, over 3.5. During the 7-game win streak they're on, they've covered plus 3.5 5 times. So I'm in on that. Their offense is clicking, but San Jose, just as an opponent for this team, seems to be their kryptonite most nights in terms of not being able to dominate.
Yeah, so over 3.5 goals is minus 122. It's not bad. It's not bad.
I feel like it's a decent price if you don't want to pay the juice for the money line. I feel like that's a decent alternative to go to, because Vegas has no problem scoring goals. It's just they have a problem with keeping San Jose at bay.
Yeah, they do. I was thinking about that last night about how when I was taking a look at the schedule and how tightly they do play him, but they still have some guys on that team that, I mean, they're not far removed from that playoff series. It was a very entertaining series. I think it was Vegas' first year when they went to the finals, and I believe it was 7 games. I know Couture was strong in that series, but Couture and then Carlson and Burns and then Kane, like there's a bit of bad blood between those two teams. So I think, maybe you're onto something about the Sharks keeping this close. Would you consider San Jose at all on the puck line?
No, I can't touch San Jose. It's one of those plays where I don't even think it would be cute picking SJ Sharkey here. I think it'd be one of those plays where it's just being unnecessarily ballsy to do it. There's
Yeah.
no there's no story that I want to attach myself to. The Marleau play just on the puck line and the money line for San Jose last game, I could have got behind. I probably could have been convinced into it. But for here, I think it's you take the Vegas team total and you take Vegas money line and then you go on with your merry way. Shot props, I'm not a big fan of in this game. I'm off of Marchessault. I can't bring myself to do it. Patches has only gone over 3.5 twice in his last 10 games. But Alex Tuck, if you can find Alex Tuck somewhere,
Yeah,
you have one for me. All right, hit me. Is it Tuck?
You got it. It's Tuck.
Yeah, I love the Tuck play. 4.2 shots over his last 5 games. Guy's just lighting it up. I was trying to find a cute play last night, looking around at like the William Karlssons of the world and things like that. And then I saw Tuck and I was like, what the hell? We're just going to take this guy and walk away.
Yeah, and I was thinking that he would get on that second line, but they kept him on the third line, even with Riley Smith out there. Um, yeah, so Tuck, he's got 14 shots in his last 3 games. You mentioned the average, but he's got at least 4 in 4 of his past 5. He's played north of 18 minutes now in 2 straight games and 3 of his past 5. So he is shooting. He's got 3 goals over his last 5 games as well, 16 on the season. Yeah, William Hill has him at plus 120 for 2.5 shots.
Him and Kaprizov together on a parlay would be
That's
just
a nice parlay.
money. I love it. And I don't think you need to add much more to it to get cute. I don't think you need to throw in like minus players for fun here. Like I know in the next game we'll talk about your guy Tyler Toffoli, but I think you could leave him out of this parlay.
Yeah, I mean, 2 guys at plus money, right? I mean, why not? I like the 2 parlay shot props. Like I definitely most nights I probably won't tonight with only 4 games. Most nights I'll have 3 or 4 on one, at least one, just a long shot ticket, some money on it. But I think you can get behind both of these guys, Kaprizov and just Tuck.
Oh
I
yeah.
was looking at points too. Go ahead as I try to
I
find.
I do what Cody Saftik does on the Dogger Pass podcast, and I kind of do the PRP with shot props. I'll slap them all together, then I'll tier it off, and let's say there's 6 shot props that night. I'll do a 6-way parlay, I'll do a 4-way, I'll do a 3-way, a 2-way, and then just play them all as singles as well. And following the show, following your picks, it's just been profitable. I don't think you need to go just completely crazy and go with just a 6-man parlay every single night. I mean, it's nice when you hit those lottery tickets, but I just don't think that's the strategy with shot props.
We were talking about that yesterday at FTN too. Like a lot of them I've been given, some I've been given are kind of juice, like around minus 150, and it's tough to obviously be confident in that as singles. Like you're going to have to include those in at least 2, 3, I'd say 3 player prop parlays. But with guys like this, like Tuck and Kaprizov at plus money, I mean, I think, like, to your point, I think it's great just to put both of those guys into a parlay and just let it ride and be fine with that. I don't know if Stone has another game, like 5 straight games with multi points is crazy, but he is plus 170 for 2 points. Max Pacioretty is plus 285. I like that one a little bit more. He's been distributing lately. It's been Stone finding the back of the net, but Pacioretty is heating up as well. I considered the under on Pacioretty's shot prop. I was considering it, Matt, but I don't think I
it
could
feels
do it.
dirty doing that because he's the kind of guy that can go, yeah, you bet against me, here's 7. Like
Yeah.
he's
It's minus 118 both ways.
I don't want it. I don't like the under because I don't like sweating it out during a game, and the over I don't want it. I'm gonna stay away. Tuck I think is our play here.
Yeah, and Marchessault is a complete fade. He's minus 162. I wouldn't go under because he's the same sort of deal, right? He a couple shots right away on the power play, a rebound, anything like that, and then it's over and you're screwed. But I think he's definitely a fade. We'll go to Tuck. All right, final game here. Montreal and Edmonton. The Oilers minus 127, 23 and 21 against the spread. 27, 15, and 2. The Habs plus 110 on the road, 19, 24 against the spread, 19, 15, and 9. The total here is 5.5. I bet it last night at 6. I would still try to find 6 like wherever I could. I always feel a little bit more comfortable with 6s. I know you're going to have to pay a little bit more for it, but there's something about that empty net, especially if you're going to include them in parlays. The other night we had a 4-game parlay that hit. It was Montreal Edmonton under. I think it was Florida, Minnesota, Vegas. Actually, it was a 5-game parlay. And then the 5th one was Calgary and Ottawa at 6. And then it was a late goal. So that one got pushed. So instead of it being, I think, 10-1, it was around 5-1. But it would have really pissed me off having the under 5.5 and then not getting that ticket at all. So I tend to kind of lean with 6s here. I'm just looking around FTN. So you can get at PointsBet, you can get minus 120, the under 6. William Hill, same thing, minus 120 under. BetMGM is plus 100 for the under 5.5. That's my that's my thinking always. Like I'm just going to that 6. I don't care. The minus 120 is not a big deal to me.
Yeah.
The under is hit 6 straight times.
Yeah.
All 6 games, actually, between these two teams. Montreal's won 4 of 6. The Oilers won on Monday. So everything that I thought would happen on Monday, it happened for the most part. The Canadians locked down McDavid and Draisaitl until there's about a handful of minutes in the game, and then McDavid just completely took over. I don't think it's going to change for Montreal. I'm kind of leaning with them on the money line in a bounce back spot. I think they played the Oilers really well, almost perfectly all year, but they just got away from it, which can happen with McDavid, and that's why it's so nervous to bet against him at any point, and also to bet unders in Oilers games. But Mike Smith has been awesome. The Canadians are struggling to score goals. As you said, with Chicago and Nashville is one of your favorite plays. Again, one of my favorite plays on the board today is under Montreal and Edmonton.
Yeah, I'll be parlaying this under with that Nashville under. You said it. They've combined for only 6 goals just once during their whole season matchup. Darnell Nurse, if we're looking shot props, over 2.5 is hitting 6 straight games and 9 times out of the last 10. I think there is a major bet condition here for me, though. If Koskinen does play, I'm going to hammer the absolute hell out of Montreal. And we were talking about this off air, that just McDavid was sooky. And for those who don't know what that means, is because that's a super East Coast term for the two of us. He's just being a big baby when he has Danault all over him. And I don't think I've seen such good defense from a player on a superstar like Danault has had on the Canadians. And that pained me to say because I am a Leafs fan. I enjoy the Leafs, but I think it's very just commendable what Danault's done to shut down McDavid for a majority of this season matchup. I do like your call, though, on a Montreal bounce back, plus 118 here. But this is definitely a condition on Jake Allen has to start, right? Like, it has to be Jake Allen.
He's already confirmed.
He's confirmed? Okay, then I think I'll be in on this plus 118. I think the line could actually move, not a lot, but it could get closer to a pick'em. The under is my favorite play, though. Like, that's the one that I'll be hammering mostly. Darnell Nurse shot prop over would be my second. And my third one, I'd go Habs money line in that order.
Yeah. Price got the concussion. The dude can't catch a break. Chason ran into him on the power play or something stupid, and he's out. But Allen's been good, right? Allen's been strong all year. He enters with a 9.14 save percentage, a 2.52 goals against average. You look at the record, he's 7-8-4, but he doesn't get the run support. He doesn't, and then that could be a problem again tonight. But yeah, Draisaitl was held off. So, I mean, just to recap, if you didn't see Monday's show, so 6 games that they've played each other. You mentioned the goals. That one that was 6 was the first week and a half of the season, and it was 6.5. So all of them have gone under the number. Draisaitl has just 2 assists, 0 goals in the 6 games. And then McDavid, he had the 3-point night. He had the goal and 2 assists. So he's now got 5 points total in the 6 games with just 1 goal. Again, he can take over at any moment, and he did that in that game. But you're right, he was a little sooky, and I've never seen him like that before. Actually, this is the second time I've seen him like that before, and the first time was a couple weeks ago against the Canadians when he took a puck in the face early. He put the elbow on Kotkaniemi, and he got the $5,000 fine. And then this time out, he took a shot. I don't know if you saw it against Danault, it was really nothing. And I like to see actually McDavid engaged like that and not backing down. I'm all for it. But he's definitely taken off his game slightly when he has to play against Danault, who is just shadowing him like a peewee hockey player. We talked about this, but they
It's
were going to the bench, and I recorded on my phone and I sent it to EY because we were chatting obviously about it on Monday, and he talked about Danault and McKinnon. He brought up that story, and so they were both going to the benches, and McDavid clearly went out of his way to just smoke Danault, like he flattened him, and then the next shift, Danault tried to hit him, and he got him late, and McDavid got out of the way, and it was an interference. So there's definitely something going on between those two players. Danault lives up to that challenge, and say what you want about his offense, about him being a number one center, and he shouldn't be a number one center. He shouldn't be paid $6+ million, all that stuff. I agree with all of it, but he's very valuable to this Canadiens team for that reason alone, and for him alone, and the goaltending for Allen. And I think, Matt, they go to Mike Smith, but I'm with you if they go to Koskinen, because Mike Smith has 16-4-2 with a 9.23 goals or save percentage and a 2.30 goals against average. He has been great. Man, what you want about Danault? He's been good, man.
I like Danault. Danault's the kind of guy that every team wants on their roster when it comes to playoff time, because he'll get the matchups. He'll go into the dirty areas. Before we get off the Habs, I have one question for you, because I'm very curious to see what happens. What happens in this expansion draft with Carey Price and Jake Allen? I've been looking at the expansion draft calculator so much and trying to mock everything up, doing a lot with the Preds here, seeing what they're going to do, because David Poile guaranteed that Matthias Ekholm is going to stay with the team. But Price has that no movement clause, but Jake Allen's been the better goalie, but Price has that massive cap hit. If you're the GM of this team, what do you do this offseason?
Oh man, I've been thinking about this for 2 years, to be honest with you. There's some other things like narrative stuff that I kind of buy into with Price. If he wants to leave and go to Seattle, you're right. He'd have to move that no trade. His wife is from the area. He's from BC. He's a West Coast guy. If he can just get away from the nonsense that has been Montreal and the circus and the media, especially if they don't make the playoffs, which I don't think that they're a lock, or if they're an early round exit, or these injuries continue to occur, I wouldn't be shocked. And there's also the side of Ron Francis, who's going to be picking the team for Seattle and his time in Carolina. There were some strong reports that he tried to get Carey Price in Carolina a couple of years ago, and Montreal wasn't budging. Now, a lot has changed since that span. Since that time, you mentioned the contract, the injuries. But at the same time, man, if you're Seattle and, you're looking at either of these goalies, I think either of them would be strong. Like Jake Allen would be good. He's under contract. They made the trade for him and they extended him for the next couple of years. So Allen would be a good get for Seattle. I think if you're Montreal, you say, listen, do you want Price? We can make Price available. And it could be something like Fleury, where there was that under the table agreement that, and I don't know if you've heard this or people listening or watching knew that, but there was an agreement between Vegas and Pittsburgh that Fleury was just going to go there, knowing that Pittsburgh was even going to go on this run, that was just going to happen. I don't know if that's the case right now with Seattle, Montreal, but I think I would keep Allen. And it pains me to say, I love Price. I think he's still got it. He hasn't been healthy. He's played a lot of hockey over the past couple of years. This is the first year that he's had a capable backup in terms of percentages of games played. This is the fewest he's played in 6 years. So he's played a lot of hockey. But if you can get away from that contract, Allen has already proved that he can be a capable starting goaltender in the league. And if you're Seattle too, at the same time, you can afford to take some high contracts. It's not going to hinder you altogether. You're going to get some great pieces around the league. You're going to be getting picks to not take solid players and to take other pieces. Like, I think it's going to play out very similar to how it played with Vegas. So it's interesting to see if Ron Francis is still interested in Price. Do they want a big name guy like that? Sell some jerseys. I think Price would move his no trade clause. Like I said, he's got some family out that way. He's a West Coast boy, but at the same time, I don't see it happening. Right? Like, I can say all that all I want. It's cute. Whatever.
Yeah. I feel like
see it happening.
I feel like Seattle gets one of these guys out of the two.
And Allen would be a great goalie for them.
Yeah. I just think if they're going to take Price, that cap hit has to come with a semi-decent prospect, Because,
You
yeah,
have
it is
to.
Carey Price at the end of the day. I totally understand that, but he's 33 years old and signed until 2026 at $10.5 million. And you can bank on a guy's past pedigree so much, but you also have to look at it and go, holy shit, $10.5 million. That is just an absurd amount of money. That hurt me to watch you talk about losing Carey Price. Because that
It's
to
kind of all
me,
over the place
yeah,
there
that
too with my
that to
thoughts.
me would be like it reminds me of Matt Sundin. It's just like, yeah, he's probably going, and I'm kind of sad about it. And he's been so good to this franchise, and there have
Yeah.
been so many playoff runs because of this guy. That yeah, the pain in your voice and the flip flop thing, I wouldn't want to be a Habs fan right now. I mean, I don't want to be a Leafs fan with the goaltending that they have there, but I don't want to have that goaltending situation this offseason.
Crazy the Canucks, right? On Sunday they were the biggest home dogs in 15 years. 15 years. We talked about the Leafs that we and had you had never seen a road team like that juiced up minus 400 or something silly. And then they were plus 250 last night and they won again. I've been joking in a chat group with some buddies. I think that they're just going to go on a run. And it's
I
I, I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs. I think they're 8 back of the Habs with 4 games in hand. Obviously, you got to win those games, and at the same time, you're playing a lot of games down the stretch that may catch up to you. But now they got 4 in a row against Ottawa. You know, say what you want. Ottawa's a good team. We've been talking about them. We had them on Monday, but they have an opportunity here to kind of get together as a team over like face the adversity that they've had to deal with. I think they may go on a bit of a run.
yeah, I think this team has the chance that not a lot of people were willing to give them. I mean, beating the big bad Leafs twice in a row. Also, anyone who had the Leafs in a bounce back game, I tried to tell everyone to stay the hell away from them in game 2 there. Don't do that. Big save Dave, some of the
Oh my
softest goals I've ever
goodness, he's
seen.
bad.
That was not good. And people who don't like Freddie Anderson, I bet you're praying for him to come back right now. But the Canucks, I like percentage wise of them going on a run and sneaking in. I wouldn't say 50%. I'd say about 35 to 40%. Like you said, they have 4
Chance.
games against Ottawa, and there's a decent chance. I might actually bet on them to make the playoffs right now, if the line is there. That we're talking myself into it here.
Yeah,
I don't mind it, but that means the Habs are out if they do that. And is that
for sure.
something you're like willing to back here?
Kind of. The one thing, like, I think the Habs still get in. The one thing I was really taking a look at Calgary and Vancouver's schedule last night, and probably the reason the Habs get in is kind of by default. Like Calgary and Vancouver are going to have to play each other a bunch too, so those teams are going to lose some points. And if Montreal just finds a way to, I don't know, do what they've done all year, losing a shootout or losing overtime, then they just get in by default. So I was looking last night too, Matt. I couldn't find a price on Vancouver to make the playoffs. There was nothing there. I just see division winners, and obviously, I mean that's not going to happen. But I think that they're going to go on a run to the point where we may want to get involved with them on money lines and stuff like that. Maybe we missed the boat on a couple already to start, but Holtby played really good in those 2 games. Now they probably lost last night because of Riddick, the Leafs, but Holtby's very capable of going on a run himself, and he looked awful, in the first half of this season. So I don't think they make the playoffs, but if you could find them at 9-1 or something like that, I think it's worth half a unit, or it's worth taking a
Oh yeah.
shot.
I think anything over like
Question.
7-1 to make the playoffs is definitely worth a half a unit. Um, yeah, 35% is what I'll go with here. I don't think they do it,
It's
but
tough.
it wouldn't surprise the hell out of me. They need Braden Holtby to play semi decently. They just need average goaltending. That's it. They have the offense, they have the defense. They just have never had consistent goaltending between the two. I mean, Thatcher Demko wasn't that strong to start and then turned it on. Braden Holtby has just been a tire fire all year. Then he has his best game of his career against the Maple Leafs, while the Leafs just need
What's
goaltending.
the deal with the Leafs? Is it more than just goaltending? Is this just every
No,
team goes through a funk and they're just going through it?
I think this is just a bad spell of the Leafs have nasty and not in a good way nasty goaltending. They're giving up they're like I think it's less than 27 shots per game lately, and they just can't buy a save. We laughed about it like 5 minutes ago. David Riddick can't buy a save. He just can't do it. The team's offense is fine, looks great. Even Willie Nylander coming back into the lineup after his COVID thing and after missing. Well, he didn't miss a game. He missed a practice, and then he told reporters that he didn't get a text about it. Be an adult. and make your practices.
Yeah.
I'm not concerned about this team if they can get average goaltending, but who the hell is that going to come from? Hopefully Freddie is healthy for the playoffs, because that's your best bet right now. The Jack Campbell Cinderella story was nice. The David Riddick backup story wasn't that nice. You need Freddie back, and then this team is fine. This is the longest losing streak that they've been on since Mike Babcock was fired.
Wow.
So that speaks volumes to just how much they're struggling.
I'm just looking at the Habs cap friendly. You got me all rattled here this morning.
That's what I was on to. I'm just staring at it. I was like, what did they do here?
And I was thinking like they would, as because of Price too. He has that pedigree, the name, and you got the thing in the back of my head with how good he was in the bubble. But at the same time, you're right. Because of that contract and the injury history and the age, you would have to give up something too, whether it was a first. And I don't know if Bergevin's even going to be calling the shots here if the Habs don't make the playoffs or they're early and bounced early, considering all the moves that he's made. I don't know if he's even making that call. So if you bring in somebody else and I think if you brought in somebody else to be the GM, that would be the first thing that they take care of, maybe.
Absolutely.
I think outside of the Habs organization think that Carey Price obviously is very overpaid. And if you can get out of that deal, then why wouldn't you?
I think a new GM comes in and they're not jaded. They don't look at the previous history with Carey Price and just go, I'm hired now. I have to make a semi-big move and set this team up. What do we do? Number one is get rid of this contract. And then it just becomes painfully obvious. But the question is, how much are you willing to give up with Price? Because you're already giving up a world-class goalie, or at least one who had been a world-class goalie. How much more are you willing to give up? A first in 2021? That's not too bad. I'd do that. A first in 2022? I wouldn't do that.
No, I don't think so at all. I mean, they have like so many picks. But anyways, Jake Allen would be a good get for them. He makes 2.87 after this year. Like he's making 4.35 this season, but against the cap over the next 2 years, 2.875. So we should do something like that. Cap friendly allows you to to go through and pick a team for Seattle. I remember doing it for Vegas. It's fun. Maybe we should do something like that at the very end. Three of us get EY in here, and we'll just kind of map out what Seattle's team could possibly look like. So what do you got from Monday as we wrap up this show?
All right, I get to do this on air with a camera for once. All right, you went 5-1 on your picks. You got Florida puck line, mini money line, Ottawa money line. You got a push for Ottawa Calgary, Edmonton money line. You got Edmonton under. You got the only one you missed was Chicago Nashville, and that was the first time that they went over the number. 5-1, 126 and 82 for your picks. Shot props 1-4. Robertson missed, Kane missed, Marchessault missed, Hornquist missed, and our guy Toffoli hit for you, brings you to 59 and 35. What do you got for us?
Yeah, shot props have been a struggle over the past week. We were talking about that over at FTN. The sides, we're starting to get a good feel of certain teams and certain players getting double shifted and just must wins for certain teams. But for tonight, I'm gonna stay away from Nashville and Chicago picking either of those sides. Like I just feel like Chicago gotta win one of these games against this team. But I'm going with the under 5.5. I like Minnesota. I almost want them on the puck line, Minnesota. I'll just take them straight up on the money line. So under Chicago, Nashville, I'm taking Minnesota. I'm taking Montreal tonight, but under is the play. Like my favorite play on the board tonight is under Montreal and Edmonton under 6. So Montreal, Edmonton under 6, the Habs, Minnesota, Vegas, and under 5.5 for Chicago, Nashville. Shot props, just the guys we talked about. Tuck Kaprizov, both of those guys plus money, 2.5. I like Toffoli again. He hit, like you mentioned, Toffoli 2.5. And then as a fourth, I'll go with the Brinkat. The Brinkat 2.5 minus 135. William Hill Sportsbook. Jonathan Drouin, no points, minus 140. Dvorak, no points, minus 143. Max Pacioretty 2.9 plus 285. That's it, man. What's your favorite pick?
I'd go Nashville, Chicago under. Mini money line, mini puck line. I like Golden Knights money line. Nothing fancy there. I do like your Habs money line call, but like you said, I think the call is the under there. And then for shot props, I've got Tuck, Kaprizov, and then I'm going to get Nurse. I just have 3 tonight. I'll probably tail your Toffoli and DeBrincat, but I'll be really upset when Toffoli breaks my heart because he's done that a few times over the last couple weeks, and it hasn't been fun. And I have this sour taste with DeBrincat because he just destroyed me a few times earlier this year. I can't get the timing right with Cat. Cannot do it for the life of me. The same with Barkov. He's just one of those guys that's not on my shit list yet, but he's getting close to being put on it.
Oh man, speaking of cats, the Panthers look good. We talked about Sam Bennett, man. He looks real good. He might win people fantasy hockey leagues. All right, Matt, a pleasure, man. I love it. Thanks for taking the time. Love the Canucks hat you're rocking, the jerseys in the background, the Ducks, quack, quack, quack. Cam would like that one as well. So yeah, good luck out there tonight. I think what Matt said was perfect. You don't have to put too many guys into a shot prop. I think Kaprizov and Tuck as plus money. That's a pretty decent payout, and away you go and have some fun with any of the parlays. You got questions, leave a comment there in the YouTube section. Thanks for Matt for running with me today and making me think about Carey Price in a Seattle Kraken jersey for the entire day. Good luck out there. We'll talk to you on Friday. Cheers.